Hi, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We are in the building. We about to get it in. We got a hot show for y'all tonight. We got my special guest in the building we haven't heard from in a while, and we got a little surprise for you right at the top of the show. What we getting into tonight? What's the deal with Ebola? Did we care about it before it spread out of Africa? Mike Brown's blood found in a police officer's car. And what happened to the president of the United States that was embarrassing but kind of funny as well. And teachers fighting students. A lot to get into. And we ending the show with a very, very special segment in honor of October. What's your favorite movies type? You're going to find out what ours is before the end of the show. And you know how Steppin Marcus J is right now.
Open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
they must be half stepping.
They don't have Steppin Marcus J is live. We back. We in the building. Yes. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show right here. Heard every single Monday night at 7 p.m. on Legacy Internet Radio, live from the den. We appreciate everybody listening to us on our home website of legacyinternetradio.com. Everybody that's listening to us on their mobile device on TuneIn, definitely make sure if you're sitting at your computer, you know if you need to roll on out, you can download the TuneIn app to your mobile device, your phone, your tablet, whatever you got, and then search for Legacy Internet Radio, and you got us. Thank you to everybody that's listening to our replays right now on YouTube. We appreciate that. Keep on liking and sharing all our stuff and help us continue to grow as the fastest growing internet radio station right here in Central Virginia and beyond. We appreciate the love we got. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial to be a part of the show tonight. You heard the tease of what we're going to talk about tonight. We got a lot more than that. That was just a tease. But as we do every single week, we introduce the crew that we have here in studio with me and with you guys. And this sister you hadn't heard from us in quite a while, but we're definitely happy and honored to have one part of Legacy Internet Radio and Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. You got our sister and yours, Miss Toyana, is here with us.
Hey, Square.
Hey, what's going on, sister?
Hey, SY.
What's going on, sister?
Welcome to be back home. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Long time.
Definitely home. Definitely home. It's good to see you. So what's going on with you since we last seen you? You all right? You good?
All work and no play makes Toyana just a mean hey.
Oh, my goodness.
Ain't no nay, shay. Just no hey over here. So
tell us how you really feel. Well, we're going to hopefully, in the next 2.5 hours, hopefully bring your spirits up, make you happy, make you smile. You know how you and me do. I'm hoping to kind of get on your nerves a little bit, have you throw some fire at me, but it's going to be all in fun. You ready for all of that?
Absolutely. Bring it.
That's what I'm talking about. And of course, you got my sister over there. We haven't had her at the beginning of the show in quite a while, and I'm so happy that she was able to help with the intro to the show. So, of course, without any further ado, I got my big sis, S.Y. Butler. What's up, sis?
Nothing. What's going on?
Doing good, man.
Long time no see. I think it was what?
2 days ago. Yeah, man. When we did, what did we do Saturday? Tell the listeners what we did Saturday.
Conversations from Your Sisters. And I got to tell you, it was great, and I loved having you here.
Yeah,
we had so much fun. We went over our time, like, was it Monday?
Yeah,
or was it Saturday?
it's crazy.
Monday?
I think it's me. Like, I'm the reason, like, I got to do better with time management, man.
Oh,
Like,
do we need to work on that?
Nah.
Is that a segment?
Nah, because as Jay Grizzy would say, Jay Grizzy of the Green Room Version 2.0 with Jay Grizzy and Lissa P, y'all can hear them on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. As he would say, we run the building, man.
Let's do it.
So let's do
We
it.
had fun, though. We had a lot of fun.
Yes,
and we going to rock a little bit of something tonight.
We're going to do a little something. I teased it a little
Little
bit
something,
early on. I'm not going to
no.
give you too much. We're not
Okay.
going to give them too much, but
What you doing?
we can give them a little bit. We can give them a little bit. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Now, what we going to do? We're going to get right into the discussions for tonight. We're going to ask what the hell, as we do every single week, and then later on we're going to get to the special segment that I'm only going to tease for right now. I ain't ready to tell y'all what the deal is, but
You always keeping secrets.
nah, I'm gonna tell. This one ain't a secret. This
You
one
too
is
secret.
nah. This is because I want the folks to continue listening to us. So if we give it, we don't want to give it to them too much. We don't give them too much. We give them too much too quick, then they start running away. So we don't want to do that. But here's what I want to do. Every single week for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about Ebola, and this week, of course, is no different. I think we would be remiss as a socially conscious radio station and radio show to not discuss Ebola. A couple of weeks ago, we had Dave from LA that helped us kind of understand what Ebola is and as far as the illness and that sort of thing. And then last week we talked a little bit about Thomas Eric Duncan, I believe his name is, the fella that came from Liberia and ended up in Texas and is now deceased. We talked about the fact that he's the only person that we know of in the United States to have died because of Ebola. Ironically, he's the black person and everybody else is not black, which, people wants to tell me that we talk too much about race. I don't know that has anything to do with anything. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. My instinct tells me that there's something fishy, but then again, if you can show me that it's not fishy, then I'll absolutely, because I like to think that I'm fair-minded. But the former head of the UN, the United Nations, Kofi Annan, says that the world ignored Ebola until it spread from Africa. And I think that is a very interesting perspective. I'm getting this from rawstory.com, and I'll kind of get into it a little bit. It's basically saying that wealthy countries were slow to tackle the Ebola epidemic as it began in Africa. Again, this is what United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan said in his criticism to the response of the crisis. He said this last week on Thursday, quote, "I am bitterly disappointed by the response. I am disappointed in the international community for not moving faster," he told the flagship BBC program Newsnight. Quote, "If the crisis had hit some other region, it probably would have been handled very differently. In fact, when you look at the evolution of the crisis, the international community really woke up when the disease got to America and Europe." He's a Ghanaian diplomat who led the United Nations for a decade until 2006. He said it should have been clear the spread of the virus from its epicenter in Western Africa to countries overseas was only a matter of time. It has since been transmitted to a nurse in Spain, a couple of nurses here in the United States who were, of course, treating the patient, Thomas Eric Duncan, who I just spoke of a minute ago. Quote, "I point the finger of blame at the governments with capacity. I think that there's enough blame to go around." This is what he said. "The African countries in the region could have done a bit more. They could have asked for help much faster. The international community could have organized ourselves in a much better way. We didn't need to take months to do what we're doing today." I think we've got it properly set up. We can get into more of his comments here if we choose to, but I think it's time to hear what we have to say here. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial if you want to call us up. Toyana, we've been talking about Ebola here on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J for the last couple of weeks. As I mentioned, I think we would be failing in our duty if we didn't. One thing we have not done is get your perspective overall on the crisis. So here's your time. Jump in. What's your thoughts?
I think it's interesting that we always put a national disaster or infectious diseases or anything that has to do with really sabotage as far as with genocide or just lifestyle, and it always has to be generated or origin from Africa. Not really sure if that's the easy angle to go, but I do believe that it doesn't have to be in Africa. It can be right here in the United States. I think that if you are wealthy or have those resources, and let's say that the Ebola outbreak happened here, I think those who have the money and the finances or the insurance probably would be able to get the treatment or the vaccinations or the impromptu cure versus somebody who does not have that. Right. And I think that the sad thing about the United States is that we have to understand that we're kind of like a ad-free country, if you think about it. International individuals can fly into our country at any given time. And I haven't been over international waters, not to that extent. But I'm just wondering if we have that problem going to other countries. I think if you went to Africa, you have to do all these shots and and somebody correct me definitely if you listen to this, but I'm safely assuming that if I were to visit, that country over there or whatever country outside the United States, there's certain vaccinations and shots and whatever I have to take before I can even visit. Yeah. So why is it that they're not hold the same caliber that we are? I'm not really sure why.
That's why.
Or even if that's happening.
Right. I know coming here. Excuse me, I know going to certain places because I've been fortunate enough to travel in my life, and I know that you're right, there are certain precautions that medically we need to take before we can leave the United States. And I know now with the Ebola, I can't say crisis, I'll say epidemic, or we can say hysteria. All of those I think are accurate terms for it. With that in mind, I know that they're giving people temperatures and checking to see if they got fevers and stuff before they come here. That's why I jump in here. I guess the discussion that's on the floor now is the world didn't take heed as to the severity of the Ebola situation until it ended up in the United States and in Europe. That is the assertion of Kofi Annan, who is the former UN secretary. What's your thoughts?
I believe he's right. He's 100% correct. When have we ever taken precautions on anything until we hit a breakout? Until something is like, oh my God, it's in the U.S., it's killing people. We don't. It's almost like we're immune to everything, which is how I feel kind of in a way when you say when people want to come over to us, they don't have to, take shots, get a whole bunch of shots and things like that, but they want to make sure that we're immunized before we go elsewhere. Like, don't bring anything back.
Absolutely.
So it's a little hard. I do think that he's correct. I believe he's 100% correct. And now we're looking at Ebola like, oh my God, look what you've done to us. Yeah. And Toyana's right. If you're not wealthy enough to get the proper treatment, as with anything else deadly, it's not gonna. You're not gonna get
it. I don't want to do a conspiracy theory, but being a devil's advocate, I think that this is just a slight test for, again, terrorism to decide how they can, without blowing up buildings this time, or putting airplanes in the ocean, or whatever the case may be. I think that it's really interesting that we haven't had an attack towards United States that
Right.
will give such much of a alert as this Ebola has.
Right.
And if anybody was creative enough or ingenious enough to put something in someone's body, just enough for it to spread, and we, being, Americans, we're supposed to be on top of our game. We don't know the symptoms until it hits somebody. We don't know how to cure it until it hits somebody. We're not even prepared. It's bad enough that we only, flu season, everybody knows when it's happened. So now we have to figure out, well, if this happens again.
Well, we talked last week, not last week, 2 weeks ago when Dave was on the show with us, and I made the connection to Ebola and HIV because, I have a hard time believing that certain types of illnesses aren't connected to each other with regards to them being bioweapons.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're alluding to now. It's not politically correct to say those things. I don't really care about what's politically correct. I'm gonna keep it real. That's just what
This is ain't no half.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep
Look,
it.
we got the same thoughts.
Yeah, I'm
We got the same
gonna
thoughts.
keep it 100 when it comes to that. And so when I think about, the fact that Ebola, was first discovered in 1976, and here we are in 2014 with an epidemic, it begs the question, obviously we know that there have been people who have gotten sick with it and died in the interim, but now all of a sudden, it's a big deal. Like SARS was a big deal a couple of years ago, and bird flu was a big deal a couple of years ago. I think when you look at Thomas Eric Duncan, who came here and got sent home and then came back and got sick and died, versus the two doctors who came from Liberia who were American, who were over there helping and came back here and got treated and they're better. The nurses that were treating Thomas Eric Duncan, who appear to be getting ready to get better, it just seems a little fishy to me when they didn't want to give him medicine, and then when they did give him medicine, they gave him something different than the medicine that two other people got better from. And then they say, oh, well, it wasn't enough. You mean to tell me they made these two little itty bitty vials of medicine enough to give two people? That's crazy to me. It just, because I'm not a doctor, I don't understand that kind of stuff. So I'll speak to my own ignorance, and I'll, acknowledge that it may be just medically I don't know any better. But as a normal thinking, logical layman, that just sounds fishy to me. And I tell you what else sounds fishy to me. We got hysteria going on in this country right now. You want to shut down borders and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, it's less than 10 people in this country that are sick. Less than 10. Less than 10. One has died, less than 10. In a country that has, what do they say, we have 40 million people in this country or something crazy like that. So I'm going nuts. I'm going crazy about, 10 people that are sick. I want them to shut down the borders. Now, let's be logical here. I don't work at the airport. I'm not that guy. But it seems to me that every single flight that comes to America usually comes from Europe, meaning they usually fly from Africa to Europe and then into the United States. So for everybody that's looking for the president and others to shut down the borders, for what? You're going to shut down the borders from Africa? There's hardly any flights that come here from Africa.
Well, I think the sad thing about it is that that's a very emotional response.
Yes, it is.
And again, when you have certain parameters to go to Africa to visit on a safari, because that's what you want to do, there's so many other things and processes and paperwork that you have to go through. And I'm very concerned that the Ebola is just a stepping stone, because again, we're not talking about, oh, well, hey, this is just something that's going to clear the air. We're talking about something that, one, it's contagious, but it's infectious. And I guess that means that when you have a lot of contact with somebody is when you can get it. So that to me is a challenge, because right now we only know the small percentage who have been identified to have it right now, because we're just on a rampage about it. But there may be some people right now that we don't even know, Marcus. If you just think about it,
that's true.
I mean,
that's true.
passing
But
by, you just don't know.
I also remember in the 80s they said you couldn't go to Greenwich Village because if you go to Greenwich Village you might get AIDS. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the hysteria that they're creating is out of control, which brings me to my next story here. I'm getting this from thinkprogress.org. They are really tripping, y'all, when it comes to Ebola panic. And, you know, I like to read headlines before I get to the stories. Here's the headline. Ebola panic reaches new heights as Maine teacher is put on leave because she visited Dallas. You heard that, right? She visited Dallas. Elementary school teacher. She's been placed on leave for 21 days, which we know is the incubation period for Ebola. She visited Dallas to attend an educational conference. The teacher did not come in contact with anybody who had tested positive for the virus, but she did stay at a hotel that was, quote, exactly 9.5 miles away from Texas Health Presbyterian, end quote, where Ebola patients had been treated. The school district attributed its decision to parents' concerns, presumably about the teacher transmitting Ebola to their children. But if the school board's criteria for leave were applied to everyone, the entire city of Dallas would have to stay home. About 5 million people within the United States travel to or through Dallas every single month. Fears of Ebola, often without medical justification, are impacting people across the country. Middle school students were pulled out of school in Mississippi after the principal visited Zambia, a country about 3,000 miles from the Ebola outbreak in Africa. Michelle DeCille, a photographer from the Washington Post, was, quote, disinvited by Syracuse University from participating in a journalism workshop, end quote. The decision was made because he visited Liberia a few weeks ago, despite the fact that he did not develop any symptoms of Ebola in the 21-day maximum incubation period, end quote. And so that article speaks to the mass hysteria that's coming up with the Ebola thing, and people aren't using common sense. I mean, I get the whole let's try to be safe, let's try to, but we talking about 10 people in this country who have had Ebola, and I'm using the number 10 because I'm rounding up. I'm rounding up. If you the two doctors that were treated in Emory, you got the NBC cameraman, you got the 2 nurses, you got Duncan. So I'm at 6 right now that I know of. Maybe I'm missing a couple, but I ain't missing more than a few, which means 10 I think is a fair number of people who are infected. They also said that the incubation period for the people who had come in contact with Duncan expired yesterday over the weekend. So that's like 80 people who have been released from the thought that they may develop Ebola. Listen, people, Ebola is not coming to your house to get you. It is not the boogeyman. So all of this hysteria is created, it's media created, because I honestly do believe that they're testing for something. What are they testing for? I don't know. If I had the answer, I'd probably be assassinated. But I'm just saying, 10 people in the whole freaking country, in states that 99% of the country don't even live in. I mean, you don't live in Dallas. You don't live in Atlanta. You don't live in, you know, Oklahoma or Montana or Maryland, where they have the specially equipped hospitals to treat Ebola. So that's why I jump in here. Am I tripping? Am I being a conspiracy theorist, or am I not taking Ebola serious enough? I mean, what's the deal?
You know, like you said, I understand them trying to be cautious. I think they're a little, I don't know. I can't say overcautious, but I want to say that. Especially if the incubation period has already lapsed, you know, stopping somebody because she was, what, 9 miles, you said, away from the hospital?
9.5 miles away.
You know.
She's on leave from work for 3 weeks.
But she was a teacher. So I can understand that, because you never know who she would have come in contact with within that 9 miles. And she has children that she goes to on a daily basis. Who wants to find out that, you know, they know for a fact that the teacher went somewhere and come back and now your children, you know, your children are sick. So it's like a two-sided coin. I can understand it. But, you know, I do think that maybe just relax a little bit. Don't keep scaring everybody. It's bad enough as it is.
Right.
But if you set that 21-day period, and that 21-day period goes by and these people have no symptoms, you know, or whatever, don't start scaring everybody now, because you're still going haywire over the virus.
One of the nurses that treated Thomas Eric Duncan she went on vacation. She went on a cruise, and they found out that she was from Dallas. And so they quarantined her in her cruise room and shut down the cruise. Y'all heard about that one? Yeah, so Toriana, jump in here.
You know what? for that teacher, I would ride that pony till the sun set. I sure would. Thank you, school board. Thank you, governor. Thank you, everybody in the state of Maine, for giving me a 21-day vacation from those kids. So teacher unnamed, not sure if you listen to this, but count as a blessing and enjoy your 21 day vacation paid off of taxes.
She is going to look a little stress-free, ain't she?
You know, I think you have much needed rest. I would. But I think that, you know, it's sad because the ignorance has a lot to do with the individuals that absolutely are making decisions for, you know, everyone, and they don't have all their facts. They just are going by a lot of reaction, and when a school board can just decide that this teacher, that of course they approve her to go for some type of conference in Dallas, but to shut her down, that to me is ignorance. And whoever's on the school board in Maine, I would love to send my resume up there, because I mean, y'all must have great
free vacations coming
up. If somebody cough wrong.
Free vacations
and
coming
then also
up.
about the cruise thing. I think, to me, Marcus, to answer your question, the 21 days, yes, is needed. I definitely agree with SY. I think that those individuals, they need to be monitored, of course, for their well-being. But if they are not coughing and gagging and turning green and getting ready to die themselves, then I think that we need to really look at what can we do to, what are their symptoms that we need to be using, what kind of vaccination or medicines or symptoms or therapy, whatever, what can we use so that if anybody, you, me, or SY, you know, ever, God forbid, if that happens to us, it can be articulated instead of lock yourself in your bathroom in your home
Don't come
for
out.
21 days.
That's crazy.
Kyra's going to kill me because she's going to have to get in there.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, Marcus, I mean, some of us, I mean, if you lived in a house, right, and you have a 4-bedroom house, what you have to confine yourself to the smallest room in your home? If you live in an apartment, what are they going to do? They're going to tell all the residents that live around you that they're going to have to relocate for I mean, let's really think about how stupid some of this is going.
But they're going to do it.
They may have come in contact with me coming from the store or walking through the building or whatever.
In the interest of public safety, this is what they feel needs to happen and what is going to be done.
I'm going to go to all the Walmarts then. I'm just going to go to all of them.
They're going to shut down Walmart. They're going to shut down the gym.
I just think where it gets a little bit crazy when, you know, we understand that these people potentially may have come in contact with a lot of people, but at the end of the day, we really are talking about 10 sick people. We're talking about 10 sick people in a country of 40 million. And I don't want to be the guy who didn't take, you know, a potential pandemic seriously, but we talking about 10 people. So that's,
are we talking about 10 or we only know 10?
Well, I think I think that's a fair question, but my response to that is, you know, it's Ebola. Ain't nobody gonna mistake that. When your gums start bleeding and you start bleeding out your ears and your eyes and your nose and all that, ain't nobody going to mistake what that is. Let me check your gums. Yeah, I'm good. I just got a little bit of gingivitis, but other than that, I'm good.
That's why I think y'all your teeth. Okay.
You know what I mean? So, but I mean, that's the deal. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J.